grand rising, good morning, good evening, whatever part of the day may it be grand. My name is Paula Herlock, and I'm here to welcome to the stage and to my page today someone who is not a stranger to us, Amenti the Awakener. Amenti, how are you?
Greetings, greetings. I am well. I'm grateful. The sun is shining in the UK, and it's always a time where people feel more upful. So I'm in good spirits. How are you, sis?
Excellent. I am very good. I am watching all of what is unfolded. And I should be terrified, but I'm not. I'm now justified in knowing why I've been driven to do all the crazy stuff, crazy in quotes, that I've been doing. I know a lot of people are looking on and saying, "Okay, this woman is going mad. Why is she doing this? Why is she doing the gathering? Why is she doing?" Guys, now you understand. This is what we're doing. We're reframing the narratives. We are impregnating and impressing the quantum field with our vision of light, our vision of beauty, all of that. So this is why we're even here this morning talking to
Yes.
Amenti about the Winter Solstice gathering. So Amenti, I don't need to introduce you. I don't need to tell anybody why you are qualified to lead this. I don't need
Okay.
to tell anybody anything like that. I'm just going to exactly what your vision for this trip to Egypt is.
Ashe. Thank you, Sister Queen, for that. It's interesting because this came as a download. And many of you may know or may not know, I've been on this path of walking the ascension journey online from since 2010. My background is vast in terms of ascension, grid work mechanics, understanding soul consciousness, soul contracts, all of these things. Even my own soul memory is quite vast. And Egypt or Kemet has been one of the places that I have been called to do grid work quite some time, many times in this lifetime. And when we look at grid work, when we look at these sacred sites, these sacred spaces, they were built and created and orchestrated at a time where we were very much in alignment with our higher consciousness, where we were integrating with the cosmos. And so what we don't recognize is that these are these sacred chambers and the sites in which they're built are like portals and stargates and gateways. Now, what you can see on our planet is at the moment, and for quite some time, there has been a infiltration of the leadership of humanity, and everything has a purpose and has a time, right? Everything moves in the universe, and so we have times when we are in our highest states, when we are in what's called golden ages, and we have times when we are in our dark ages, and in those ages and stages we learn. Many people may know about the ascension that we're in, and this is not some new age fad. This has been written and prophesied in all of the major traditions and cultures since the beginning of time, because again, everything in the universe has a flow and nothing is really new, right? So as we're coming out of the end of a cycle, we are moving into a new one. And so what's happening is those sacred sites had been hijacked. A lot of the energy stations, a lot of the stargates, a lot of the portals on this planet have been hijacked. Even what we're seeing in Palestine, there is a major stargate in Palestine. Even when we look at places like Jordan, or we look at places like Mecca and the Black Box, these are all sacred sites that are not just sacred because people go there and pray, but because they are tapped into planetary and galactic energy grids within the planet. Again, Stonehenge is another one. So when we go to these places, we actually activate our own energy centers, but we also have information within us that once we go to these places, they activate. Egypt was a place that called me because I had past life memories of it, and my soul has these memories. And I'm sure many of you guys have had connections with Egypt, or you've felt like, yeah, I've been there before. And that is your soul reminding you of the part of your contract that is tethered to that place, that is connected to that place. And as I say that, my pause is raising. And most of the time we don't remember our soul contract in the conscious sense, but everything in our being is encoded towards us uncovering that. And so I remember my first time being called to Kemet was in 2012, and I was working with a a sound healer or a sound magician, I want to call him, because he also worked with the Templars, working on learning how to activate, number one, the codes within us so that we could go to Egypt and basically do this work. And that was in 2010. But something happened, and what had happened was basically spirit showing me that actually there's another level to this work, and I would be called to work with other people, bringing especially those from the melanated community and indigenous communities to come and do these works, because the stargates are also being hijacked with this spiritual commercialism, right? And so people are attending these sites, but they don't really have the conscious and awareness of how to actively work on the grids in these spaces. So I remember when I went, and it was literally divinely aligned, because the trip I was meant to go on, I didn't go on. And Spirit sent me another guide who I was seeing in my dreams. It all connected. And when I went there, the amount of experiences that I had, initiatory experiences. And what I mean by that is there was one time, I think I've sent a video, but I was trying to get into the temple, the Valley of the Kings. And for whatever reason, they couldn't find the key that day. And I was with my guide. And he basically spoke to one of the elders on the land and said, look, she has come, you know, and she's come to be here. And one of the elders, he came to me, and I remember he had a blue ring around his eye. And he came to me and he looked at me in my face. He walked back and he came and handed me the key. And I have a video of where basically they gave me the key to open the tomb. Now, the tomb that they asked me to open was the tomb of Priest I, the High Priest I, who was also the one who initiated Akhenaton. So he is that particular tomb is where the initiates, those who have come here to do great work and be initiated into sacred knowledge, would have to pass through. And what happened when I was in there, the lights went off as I got down into the earth, and I had these amazing channels, these amazing experiences. And it was at that point when my old self died and Amenti was born. And so, as I said, that particular journey, so many different stargates, including the Dendera temple. And I think that was the most powerful for me, because Dendera represents the feminine, represents Hathor or Heru. And what I learned in there was the importance of divine feminine energy when it comes to spirituality in pre-life and also in the end of life. So I say all of that to say that when I touched on that land, so many magical things happened that interacted with my soul and also expedited my own spiritual journey. I then went there about 7 times after that, and each time something different happened. But I knew that there would be a calling, because what's happening on this planet right now is she is raising in vibrational frequency. And so, like I said, many of her stargates, many of her portals are being activated and awakened. And what we don't realize, which is what I teach in the Ascension Academy, so we're more than the flesh. We are vibratory, energetic beings. Our thoughts, our emotions, our energy all have a frequency. And when we are able to start learning how to utilize our energy, we're able to work in harmony with the earth and with guides and with energetic beings to now be a part of elevating the consciousness and so also breaking some of the binds that have been placed on humanity through the hijacking of these particular stargates. So we all heard about the fact that, you know, they had this amazing discovery in Egypt. And I say amazing discovery because these things we've already known, right? And when something becomes conscious in the media, it usually means that, you know, it's already been worked on for quite some time. But they're also trying to trigger some sort of false exodus to that space, right? To bring this energy and attention to this space. But why it's relevant for me is because Spirit showed me in 2012 that this was going to happen, and that it was more to signal the time for those ones and ones to come and start activating those spaces. So I received a message loud and clear that it was now time to take the light leaders, those who feel called to do this work. Not only that, you would have seen Brother Bedell. He's got some amazing videos. And for a while, I was very much in alignment with him because we all have different codes for each other, and also Sister Myra as well. And what they talked about was the ending of one cycle and the beginning of the new, where we look at the, the Pope transitioning. We look at the Golden Gates, 8 and 8. That number for me was coming up a lot. We look at the Sibyls and we look at the understanding of the real sacerdonal seat and who was really in the position of maintaining balance and power for humanity. And it was the divine feminine. And when we look at ancient Kemet, that's also represented by Ma'at. And when I was in the temple, in the tomb of I kept on saying Ra Ma'ati, Ra Ma'ati, Ra Ma'ati. And I downloaded this whole energetic healing system based on bringing balance to our energy and bringing balance to the divine energy that is us, right? So we are being prepared not just to go and do this work, but also to activate our own energetic systems. This is part of our own ascension. So a lot of you may have been going through shadow work, different things coming up, feeling like you're in the void. Those are all old, outdated programs coming to a close so that new energy, new information, new embodiment can come online. So with this particular journey, Spirit was like, yes, it is time. And as I mentioned before, an old cycle has ended, and that old cycle that's ended is the cycle of suffering. It's the cycle of struggle and suffering and martyrdom. And what is opening up is divine leadership. So those of us who are connected and acknowledge the divine authority within us to lead, it is for us to do so, whether it's leading in your home or whether it's leading in your community or leading on a wider scale. So this particular journey is not just one of your natural retreats. And I have to say that because number one, your soul will guide you on this journey. Number two, there is work to do, and it's not going to be laborious. We will have a few workshops before we go, just so that you can understand how to work with sound, how to work with light technology, how to work with the grid. Because what we're doing here isn't some woohoo airy fairy stuff. This is quantum mechanics. And so when you understand the technology that you are, and you understand how you interact with the world, and then you understand how you interact, your energy interacts with these sacred spaces, you begin to unlock the power within you. So we're not just physical beings here to suffer. We are here to do wondrous and powerful works on this planet. So this pilgrimage, and I'm calling it a pilgrimage, is really an opportunity for us to, number one, walk the divine path that has been aligned for us. If we feel like there's a calling for us to be there, that it means that we're meant to be there. Number two, there is work that we need to do whilst we are there. And we're being supported to do that. And number three, it's an opportunity for you to also level up in your own journey of ascension and awakening.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. No, I mean, you know, a lot of people will watch me and watch you, and we can't sometimes share everything because not everyone is ready for this kind of work. But I'm hoping now that you guys can see what is unfolding in the world and why there is this urgency for us who are drawn. Remember, you don't have to have a lot of information. You just need to know that you have been having strange dreams and strange flashes of being in Egypt, of being in Kemet, of knowing that you are supposed to be a part of an activation of this nature. No, as Amenti said, there's been a lot of distortion, a lot of inversion of the pure healing energies on this planet. And the pyramids of Egypt is one of those places where there has been massive inversion. Amenti, I want to ask you this question. Is it that we are going there to do some clearing of this distortion, some reclamation? I like to use that word because it's ours. And we've had a set of people that have been trampling over these areas for over the last, 800 years, and saying it's theirs, and erasing, because this is paper genocide, erasing the peoples, the original peoples that have been there. Is this trip a trip of reclamation?
110%. That is the reason why we are going. And you have seen over the years how that particular area has been discredited, that the people that are there use the stories and sell the stories and even give misconceptions and mistruths. There is an original knowledge there, and we are there to go and awaken it. Now, even how they sometimes deal with some of the places means that we also have to be sensitive with what we do, right? We have to be intentional and sensitive with what we do, which is why we will be having private time on these retreats. Like, we have worked tirelessly to ensure that we will have private time at the foot of the Sphinx. If you've ever been to Egypt before, you know that you don't actually get to go to the Sphinx. You usually stand where behind the barriers and you can look, we're actually going to be there in the morning doing our grid work there. Also, we will be going to the King's Chamber in the Temp, in the pyramid. So not only will you have an opportunity for your own initiation, we will also be sounding and doing work in there. And as much as on one hand it sounds like, okay, you know, it's a lot of work to be done and I'm not sure if I'm good enough. This is why I said to you in the beginning, your soul will know. And ultimately, what you will learn before you go there is that your frequency is all that's required. Your knowing of who yourself is all that required. We all have a tone. We all can tap into energy. We all feel consciousness and feel consciously. So if there's a part of you that feels like maybe it might not be prepared enough for this, or maybe it's not of a high enough level for this, from your heart is vibrating with the resonance, know that you have already on a soul level chosen to be here with us. But yes, to answer your question, it is about reclamation. One of the things that would happen as well when I was there is that some of the people that are in those temples and in those spaces, they are gatekeepers, and you will see that for yourself, you know. So we are a part of awakening and reclaiming back those sacred spaces and those sacred stargates so that they can be utilized and that the energy can also flow freely. Because where we're going to be having the actual winter solstice, and we'll go through the itinerary in a minute, but the winter solstice, we're going to be at the Karnak temple, and we are going to be observing the Holy of Holies, which is basically where the sun comes out, you know, and shines through the whole temple. These have always been symbolic opportunities for us to receive this energy, but also to recognize the time that we are in. You know, we are not disconnected from the cosmos. And so this is our opportunity to really stand in that truth and in that power.
Beautiful.
Would you like me to go through the itinerary, or should we chop it up a bit more?
Yeah, you can go for the itinerary, because, you know, I want people to understand that this is not just for people who are in the UK and can take a 2-hour flight.
No.
There's a group of us in the Western Hemisphere that are being called to be there, because we are also part of the group that needs to activate this space. I'm here in Jamaica. Somebody would say, so what you have to do in this, Paula? Stay here in Jamaica and do your work. There is a need for me to be there. I'm going to tell you a story. When I went to Egypt, I was attacked and I was told, abort mission. Okay? So they knew who I was, and I didn't even know. I had to leave. So it means that they are trying to block certain activations from happening, certain souls from gathering together, right? But no matter what happened, we're going to find each other. Guys, believe it or not, Amenti, I don't know her, you know, I've never met her in person, but we connected, and our connection was like, and we did some work together in Jamaica, remotely together, activating a particular hidden Stargate in Jamaica, right? They don't tell you about no Stargate in Jamaica, because they're like, no. The Stargates are in Mount Shasta, this, that. There is a reason why Jamaica is the way it is. And it's because we do have Stargates. But it's okay. Let's keep it a secret some more. But it is essential that some of us here are part of what is to take place in Kemet in the winter solstice. Yeah. So if this speaks to you, it means that you are receiving the transmission, right? Everything that I do and everything that Amenti does is towards this mission that she's clearer than me, but I know also that I'm supposed to be part of it. I don't have all the details, but I know. And this is why she and I can have this conversation, and we know without any doubt that it is critical, it is time sensitive, it is urgent for the persons who are resonating with this trip to do whatever it is they can do to make it possible. Also, everything is connected. So for example, I'm here in Jamaica and I just get up at the end of me and I'm like, okay, there needs to be a gathering of the 44. And I have no clue what I'm doing. And I'm just saying, okay, I'm just going to gather the 44. right? But now I understand that it is critical for us to do some grid work here in Jamaica that is very much connected, because we're the summer solstice and we're over on this hemisphere of the planet, and we are connected directly to the other side and what we will do in the winter solstice. So everything is connected. And even though we don't know at the time, we are actually working together,
Exactly.
and there is an actual collapsing of certain timelines. Like we are literally dismantling it with our consciousness and with our activities.
Yes.
And we are reconstructing a new timeline that is more towards new earth, heaven on earth, and reclaiming the parts that have been taken away from us.
Mm.
It is ours. And that is why, even though they've erased history, distorted history, we're still finding our way back to get this work done. There's a group of us that were probably working together thousands of years ago, and we're assembling. That's what's happening. What are the odds of me connecting with Amenti? I don't know this girl, but she come to Jamaica, and me and her, I listening to what she's saying, and I'm listening, and she's listening to what I'm saying, and we're like, we're saying the same thing. All right, let's get together. And we see that there's many overlaps. Okay, we actually did the winter solstice together last year.
Last year.
And so it is not, we didn't even realize that we were preparing for this year.
Say.
And so we see the unfolding. So for those of you that are called, this is the time to go click on, there's a link in my bio, and there's a link also in the description here for you to go register. Right? You have lots of time, 6 months. When I was going to the continent in 2023, I knew I wanted to go. I decided in August. And the day that I went online, I found a ticket, return ticket from the US for 650 US dollars. And that is unheard of. But what it is showing is that where there is a will, there is a way. And
100%.
even though you may look at the amount and you're like, okay, there's no way I can afford it. Listen, if you are supposed to be there, the way will be found, the resources will be mobilized, and you
I
will
say.
get to go. So I
I
just
say.
urge everyone to stop what they're doing, click on the link in the description, have a look at the form, breathe in and breathe out, and then send us a note expressing your interest, and we will know how we will, help in whatever way we can.
I
What we
say.
will also do is we will establish a working group here in the Western Hemisphere that will be working closely with the group that is traveling to Egypt, so that we can anchor energies simultaneously. This is what grid work is about. It's about anchoring energies and connecting energies across the ley lines. Okay, so we're going to be doing all of that. Amenti's going to be preparing us, the persons who will be on the trip, to participate more effectively and more powerfully. So there's some prep work required, right? Because we're not just going to go in as wide-eyed tourists taking pictures. That's not it. This is
I
a
say.
working trip, right? We're not going to be like, I'm in Egypt. Let's do a selfie. Yeah, we're going to be doing that a little, but there is a more potent and divine purpose behind this trip. And
I
if you
say.
know, you know. And if you're ready, you're ready. The only thing that's required is that your heart must be ready. And there's a
I say.
part of your soul that will know, I am supposed to be there.
I say.
All right?
I say.
Beautiful.
I love.
Yeah.
I
So can you go ahead?
Sorry, go ahead. No, I was going to say I love what you were saying as well about Jamaica, and what sometimes we can have a mindset of, okay, well, what's Jamaica got to do with this? The whole planet is connected, and we have many different overlays over the planet. Even what has been calling me to Jamaica over the past 6-7 years has been activating those stargates, closing some of the doors spiritually, because if you look at the energy of Jamaica and you see that it's such a beautiful, rich, paradisian place, but also has so much negativity and poverty, those overlays, those entrapments, so that that energy can be harvested, those things have to be closed. So, and also I've been taking women back to Jamaica, those who have that lineage, to also work on the ancestral healing and bringing back some of that ancestral power, because one of the ways in which they were able to destabilize humanity was by taking the woman out of her divine position of being able to be the healers, the wisdom keepers. So, and as you know or may not know, Jamaica, the area of Jamaica is old Atlantis and old Lemuria. So there is nothing new underneath the sun, and that which rises will fall as well. And so the whole planet is awakening and anchoring a higher frequency, not just in terms of what we think consciously, but also in terms of vibration. And that's why there's also so much energy being directed to Jamaica with regards to even the musicians and the dancehall scene and all of these kind of things. You need to be aware of what's happening in the global stage, because it will help you to know where the power is, even if they don't tell you directly where it is. So wherever you are in the world, we are not separated in any way, shape, or form. Even where you are sitting right now is a ley line, is an energy grid point. When you sit down on the earth and you anchor with your heart and you anchor with your third eye and you root yourself into it, you become a part of her technology. You become available to her wisdom. And so this is all about really being able to bypass your ego mind, which says, oh, I cannot, and really just take a moment and check with your soul. Is this in divine alignment for me? Because it might be that, yes, you are meant to be with us. And it may be that actually, you know, I'm here to anchor it wherever I am. Whatever it is that you feel like you're aligned to do, there is support for you to learn how to utilize this, which you have, this vibratory tool. You're not just the flesh, right? Fourth dimensional consciousness is about understanding yourself as energy, understanding yourself and the spiritual realm. So utilize this time, utilize this information, even some of the stuff that Sister Paula shares in the Heaven on Earth community is really about preparing you, not just for these big events, but to recognize you are the event, to recognize that you are here to master the technology that is you before we outsource ourselves completely to other external systems, right? So even though we are inviting you on this journey, we're also activating within you a consciousness and a knowing that you are already perfectly qualified to do whatever it is that you feel called to do. And so if it resonates for you to be with us, then we welcome you on this journey. But I just wanted to add that, because sometimes we feel like, you know, these popularized places is where all the magic and power is happening. But usually that's where the energy is being siphoned the most, right? And, you know, this thing of poverty consciousness, we are also going to break through that, because like Sister Paula said, everything is based on resonance. I'll tell you, when I was going on these retreats, and people who know me, people who have been in my cipher, I've never been in a position, well, until recently, I wasn't in a position where I could go. I've been to Uganda. I traveled to Egypt and I traveled to Africa and did a tour of 4 countries. And I did not have a clue of how I was going to get there, where the money was going to come from. But I had the vision, and Spirit asked me, am I on it? The minute I was like, yes, I set a date and I let the universe do the rest. And I have never been let down. And the reason why I'm saying that to you is because we have to now start moving beyond the ego and the limitations of the mind. If it's really for you, it will resonate. If it's not, then it is what it is. But do not for any 1 minute exclude yourself for anything based on what you can see in your bank account, because it's an illusion anyway. So if your soul is saying, I know I'm meant to be there, trust and believe that the minute that you say, I am there, everything in the universe will work towards helping you to be there. So it's going to be an expansion in itself just by you saying yes to this journey.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. You know, it's so interesting. For the last 5 days, I have just run into different people that I've never met before. And, you know, they admit that they have these spiritual gifts. And then they start to tell me about dreams they've been having since they were child.
Yeah.
And all 5 people that I ran into over the last couple of days have said they remember parts of Atlantis and they
Mhm.
feel like parts of Portland and Blue
Yes.
Mountains were a part
Yes.
of Atlantis. Now, I
Yeah.
just found it so odd that so many of them came to me in those couple
Yeah.
of days and said the same thing. And
Yes.
then you were saying it now. I said it in a video that I did last night. I don't know why I did that video. I just did it, right?
Yes.
But so when we ask what is the connection between Jamaica and Kemet, you can say Atlantis and Lemuria seem to have been in this area, the Caribbean Sea and
They
above,
were.
north of the Caribbean Sea. And
Mm-hmm.
so Jamaica, if you think about Jamaica and where it is, it almost is a little dot in the middle of the planet, right at the equator, right? And it's like a little amplifier. It's always vibrating, pulsing outwards with music, with people, with dances, with athletes, yeah. And
Yeah.
so we understand that from the legends and from the lore that when Atlantis and Lemuria broke up, a group of people went to
Kemet.
Central and South America, and then another group of people went to Kemet. So
Yes.
there is a connection. And so the
Yes.
work that we do in Jamaica is very much connected to what is going on in Kemet. So guys, this is a beautiful opportunity. As Amenti has said, don't don't make your first instinct or response be I can't afford it. Know that if you're supposed to be there, everything will fall into place to allow you to be there. Okay? And that's where I just want to leave it,
Okay.
because if you're going to be there, you're going to be there. So sit with it, think about it, and then when you're ready to go, you reach out, let us know, and we will put things in motion. And we're going to be doing work to ensure that everybody is able to afford it. Energetic work, okay? Because we can do this. We are the magicians. We are. It's no joke, okay, guys? Amenti, thank you. And I want to just
Just want to add something
especially,
when you finish.
yeah, I want to especially thank you for being bold and brash and just pulling these things together and sharing with us how possible it is to be part of it, you know, for not just putting the trip together, making the connections with the people who open the door and will get us
Yes.
into the chambers. When I went to Egypt, I could only look at the Sphinx from a camel and
You see, yeah.
and take a selfie with it behind me, right?
Yeah.
And you are arranging to give us access to the king's chamber. We're going to all these temples. We're going to uh, you know, just for the record, can you just list off the places that we will go into in this trip
Yes. So we will
quickly?
travel up and down the Nile. So we will be going to Abu Simbel. We will be, which is
Mm-hmm.
another temple, which is the one that people see, which has all of the pharaohs outside. But that's
Yeah.
also where Nefertiti's temple is as well. So we will be going there. Dendera, which
Mm-hmm.
is the temple of Hathor and Heru, which is beautiful. We'll be going to
Mm-hmm.
Hatshepsut's temple. We'll be going to
Mm-hmm.
Karnak. We'll be seeing Sekhmet.
Mm-hmm.
We'll be going to
Mm-hmm.
Edfu with Horus. And one of the pièces de résistance is I've managed to book us a Nile cruise. So for 4 of those days that we are traveling, we will be traveling on a private old boat. It's called a dabar. It's like an old Egyptian, not old in terms of
Yeah.
rickety. It's up to date,
Yeah.
but it's an old Egyptian way of traveling down the
Mm-hmm.
Nile. We'll be at the Giza pyramids. We're going to go to the Nubian village. So it's going to be a journey. And in between that, you will have time to enjoy, to relax, and to just be, right? Because those times that we'll spend in those temples, because we're having private time, we'll go early before all of the people come in. So it really is a once in a lifetime experience. I have been with other retreats that have started at minimum 5,000 and don't even offer half of this. But for me, it's like Spirit wants us, for those who are aligned to go, to have a full and
Yes.
rich experience. And so,
Yes.
yeah, I invite you to be a part of this. Oh, one
Right.
thing I
Right.
wanted
I
to add,
thank
sorry,
you.
before we leave, is that the closing date for applications and deposits is the end of July. Reason being is that it gives everyone enough time to do their payment plans and have everything complete by December, and also so that we can ensure that we have everything secured. So, yes, please do take your time, but just know that by the end of July, we will have to close those doors. So, please put in your application form and we can go from there. Thank you.
Beautiful, beautiful. And guys, just do it with confidence, knowing that if you're supposed to be there, you will be there. If spirit, if spirit is calling you and nudging you, then spirit is going to make the way. All right. So, Amenti, thank you so much for
You're
putting this
welcome.
together. Thank you for inviting us, and thank you for all the work you do um, on this planet to prepare us to take it back. I love it,
Yes.
and I love you.
I love you
Thank
too,
you,
Sister
thank you,
Queen.
thank you. And for all the people that have joined us, thank you for joining us. The ones that are here live and the ones that will be seeing this later. Thank you.
Thank
And hopefully we'll all be rolling down the Nile together. All
Yes. Yes.
right. All right. Let's see now.